Hello guys, today here I have a tutorial on how to port props from source maps into Roblox. Alright, to start here I have a folder with just a map file and a folder of some programs I'm going to use that I will probably just put a link in the description with a zip file with all these so you can use them yourself. But anyways, first, we're going to start out with BSP source here. So what this does is it decompiles maps into their original file, which is a .vmf, and it also spits out the raw materials and models folders with all the materials and models you need, which is what we're going to need here to port the prop we're looking for. Alright, so first we can go add here and we gotta give it the map file. I'm gonna use Arcane. So you just click open, and before we click decompile, you want to go to other and click on extract embedded files. This will give us a folder with all of the model and textures that we need in order to port the props from it. Alright, so we can click decompile here. It'll tell us to save the .vmf file. So you just put it in the folder that we got it from and give it a few seconds, and there we go. Alright, close out a BSP source, navigate back to our folder. So you'll see we have this .vmf and also a folder that's the name of the map, and it's got these two folders in it, materials and models. So first I'm going to navigate to models here, and if you look in these folders, you'll see it has all these different files. What we want to do to convert these to something that we can open in a model editor, we have to use a program called Crowbar, which is in this programs folder. So I'm going to open up Crowbar here. Alright, so it opens up with this. We'll want to set this to decompile. So click on decompile, do MDL input, let's say folder and subfolders. So we're going to want to browse to the folder we're looking for, which is this one, and then our models, right? And then there we go. So we got that selected, and this will do everything within that folder, so which is really nice. It does it all at the same time. And then for output, we'll just put a folder inside here. You can put it wherever. This is probably the easiest way to access it. So I'll say converted models. All right. Alright, and then settings here, we can just uncheck this QC file because you don't need it. We only want this SMD file. So anyways, now we got this all set up, we can just run decompile. I'll go through all the maps here, all the props here, and there we go, it's done. So you can close out Crowbar, go back to our map, so you have this new folder here with all these props in it and all the .smd files. Alright, so first thing next you're going to want to do is actually locate what prop you want to port. So real quickly, and setting up hammer and all that is kind of its own thing, but I'm going to just open the map and find a model or a prop that I want to port here. Alright, so I'll just double click on it. It says Fern01 and it gives me the directory props CS militia Fern01. Alright, so I'm gonna close out of this, and we can go to here. So remember, it's under props CS militia and it's called Fern01. So you'll see we have 3 different files here. So what this is you have the like raw file and then LOD. So the LOD is level of detail. I believe the smaller the number is, the higher level of detail. Basically, Roblox can't import up to a certain level of detail. So what I've used is if the size of the file is 1.5 megabytes or less, you're usually good to go. So this is obviously only 0.28 megabytes, so this one's good to go. So we'll be using this file. So next we're going to want to open this file in a program called Milkshape, and I have install for this. I already installed my PC, so I'll just open this. This is a really old program. It's like 10 years old, but I found it's like the easiest way to port these props because it's really simple to use. So anyways, also yours, in order to use Milkshape 3D fully, you need to register it, which you can go by clicking on Help, About, and Register. And I ask you for name and registration code. I have a name and code that you can use that will work for anyone. But so I'll put that in the description. But you'll have to do that if you want to use Milkshape 3D and do the rest of the steps. So anyways, close out that. So we can go to File, Import, and then Half-Life SMD, and we just gotta navigate over to our folder here. And remember, we're looking for that ferns or props, CS Militia, Fern 01. All right, beautiful. Alright, so you see we have a fern here. So first thing I'm gonna want to do here is scale it down, because the scale it is in Milkshape is a lot larger than it is gonna actually look in game. Otherwise it would be oversized. The Roblox will try to downscale for you, but it won't be accurate. Since I know the scale that you use to port from the two games, I'm gonna use that scale to downscale it. So first you want to do is select it. You can do that just by double clicking on it in groups here. And we go over to model. We have different tools here. We're going to want to click on scale. And then I set this to origin. It doesn't actually matter, but origin scales it to the center. And then we're going to want to use our scale we have here. So I have 0.072. And we can click scale here. That's based on a scale that I've calculated basically. If all you need to know is that it's basically 1-to-1 between Roblox and Hammer. So anyways, so you can, I guess, basic movement, you can use the scroll wheel to move further in. Holding right click, which is what I'm doing right now, allows you to rotate your camera around an object. Alright, so we got our fern here. Sorry, excuse me. Alright, so next we are going to want to apply textures to it, because you can see right now there are no textures, which is not what we want. Oh yeah, additionally, I forgot. Your Milkshape might look different from mine. The default is wireframe, which makes it look like this, which is not what we want. We want to move to textured. So make sure you set that so you can see the textures. Alright, so next we're going to find the texture we need. So if you go over to materials here, Milkshape should have the name of the texture, which is just Fern 01. Sometimes the texture is the same name as the model, sometimes it's a different name. Do keep in mind that this doesn't tell you the directory for the texture, but it's usually in the same directory that you find the prop in. It's just under materials. So if we go back to our folder here, which I'm going to pull up, resize a little bit. So I have converted mouse here. Oh, sorry, not converted mouse. What we actually want to do is go to this first folder we created, which has materials and models. So you know that our models, our prop models with the model data is under this folder. We don't want to go there for the material or for the textures, however. Those are all listed under materials. All of the materials for the props are going to be under models. So you go materials and then models. And then we should just be able to go to the same directory. So props, CS Militia, and there we go, Fern 01. So you'll notice that this is a .vtf file, which is not a .png or not an image file, because basically Valve has their own image format, so you need to convert it from Vtf to .png. So you can do that using a program called Vtf Edit, which is included in that folder I have that I show with all the programs, but I already have it installed. So we can just navigate to wherever you have your folder located. All right. And what I'm going to recommend you do is, instead of trying to import all these one by one, because I could just drag this into here, right, and it would just open up. In fact, I can do that right now. You'll see that just opens up there. And I could just click export right now. But what and it'll ask you, what do you want to save it as, and you just say .png. But what's going to be easier for you, since you already have every single texture you could ever use, is you could do tools and convert folder, and then you tell it what input folder you want to use. So you go down to here and materials. So it will, since we only need the prop models, I'm gonna just do models to not make a bunch of extra PNGs I don't need. But if you wanted to say port the rest of the textures from a map, you could just do this whole folder. But for now, I'm just gonna do models. So we click OK. Output folder, I'm gonna put it in map here. I'll just make a folder called model textures. All right, and then we just click on convert here, and we'll go through all of them. It'll take a little bit of time because it's a lot of different files, and there we go. So if we close out of VTF edit here and go back to our folder, model textures, you'll see they're even on their own folder. It makes all folders for you, and there's a bunch of .png files. So great. So we go members props, CS militia, and then Ferno1. So that's it right there. So I'm going to open this in Milkshape. I'll just close that. So to load the image in Milkshape, you click on its name down here, and that'll open up. You just got to navigate to wherever it's supposed to be. Textures, props, CS militia. There we go. Ferno1. So I'm going to double click that in, and look, it applies automatically. We have a lovely looking fern. Amazing. All right. So now we are done, and we can export this as a .object file, which Roblox Studio can use to import. You can import any .object file, so basically that's what we're going to do. Anyways, so we can just click on file up at the top here and export, not save, but export, and wavefront object, or OBJ, right? And you can name this whatever you want. I recommend, just for the sake of knowing what the name of your object is, that you keep the same name. So we'll call it Ferno1, so we know. And the other thing I'm going to recommend is that the Roblox will not know what the texture file you're using is unless when you import it, the .png and your .object are in the same folder. So if they're in the same folder and you import to Roblox, it'll automatically apply the mesh and the texture that you just created. Otherwise, you have to upload the texture manually, which is just extra work. So since I know I got the model texture, I know I got the picture from model textures, props, CS militia. It's not showing up in here because I'm only looking for .objects, obviously, but I know it's going to be in there. Additionally, I know what I've done for Arcane is I just made another folder, and then I made their own directories, and I just put every single image in like where the converted models are going to go, just so I know that I always have the image there. Of course, if you don't have the image in the same folder, you just got to spend an extra like 30 seconds uploading that. It doesn't really matter, but I recommend putting in the same folder as where your .png is. So we can click save here, and that's all we should need on Milkshape for now. So I'm going to go and open Roblox Studio here, and I'm just going to make a new world. Alright, new world. You can actually upload this into any place. You just have to publish it to Roblox first. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Is this game tab might not open up for you by default, so you got to go view, game explorer. I'll give you this tab. Click publish. Give it a second. I will just create a new place. I'll say test. It doesn't matter. All right. And then now we see we have this fancy import tab. So what we can do here is navigate to where we put that model. Remember, it's under model textures, props, CS militia, and there we go, fern01.object. See, paired right next to our texture here. Double click on that. I recommend these are the things you use. You don't want it to rescale it because it'll mess up the scaling. Import files, a single mesh will only matter with more complicated objects. Like I will show you how to do a more complicated one in a second here. But anyways, so we can go and click apply here, and below in here it gets the check. It will tell you if you couldn't find the texture, and it'll give you an error message, but here it didn't give us that, so we know it loaded in here. So yeah, meshes fern, beautiful. Although you will note, why isn't the transparency working correctly? Due to how Roblox works, if you have a transparent texture on a mesh and you want to display correctly, you have to set the transparency of the mesh part itself, or the part, depending on if you use a mesh. Anyways, you have to set the transparency of the part itself to something higher than 0. And 0.02 is the lowest value, which will work. And there we go, the transparency works correctly. I also recommend, the lighting looks really weird on these. In my opinion, I found that pebble as a material has like the least lighting, like refraction, or reflection on it due to the sun. So I think this looks a lot better than the default plastic setting. Anyways, there you go. So you just successfully ported a prop. Way to go. Alright, so next I'm going to show you how to port a prop that has multiple textures, because these are a little more complicated. So anyways, we're going to go to our import here, and we're going to navigate to our .smd file. So convert models. I know the one I want. It's called trees2. It's under militia here. Scroll down, we should find it here, trees2. So you notice it's a little over 1.5 megabytes. So I'll do the lower LOD version. I just click OK here. Alright, so we're going to want to select all of our groups here. So double click on all of them and scale it to our scale. So click on that. Let's zoom it in a little bit. So reset view. There we go. And then materials, you see there's multiple materials here. So we assign these each what they're called. So I'm going to call this one 3B because that's its name. Let me just go down the list here. And trees 2. Alright, and there we go. Looks like some trees. Nice. Alright, so we're going to go on export here just like you do normally. Export that as a .object. Navigate to our folder here. Put this in the textures again so it knows where the textures are. I'm going to call this one trees 2B. I was messing around with stuff because I couldn't get something to work because it turns out I had a setting wrong. So that's why there's other ones in there already. So you would probably just call this trees 2, but I'm going to call this trees 2B because I already made a few. Anyways, so next thing we want to do is, since Roblox, when it imports a texture, it can only import one texture for the whole mesh. So unless your mesh uses the same texture for the whole thing, it's not going to work. So this thing has 4 different textures. So Roblox is going to try to use like one of them, and you're going to import it. It's going to look all weird because it's using the wrong texture for most of the mesh. So what we gotta do is consolidate these 4 textures into a single image, which we can do pretty easily using Blender. In fact, the version I'm using is like Blender 2.4, which I think is like 10 years old, so very old software, just like Milkshape, but it works very easily. So that's why I'm opening up on the bottom here. We can go ahead and click delete here, get rid of that, and then we're going to go import and wavefront.object, right? And we're going to have to navigate to where we have our object saved. Should be here, trees2B. Alright, click import. And now this is important. We need to set this clamp scale to 0. If it's above 0, it's going to change the size. So you want to set to 0 since we already scaled it to what we want it to be. So we click on import, and there we go. We use right click to select it, and you'll notice some stuff pops up at the bottom. I'm going to switch this window view from 3D view to UV image editor. Click on that, and next we're going to click on image and consolidate into one image. This image path is going to put it in a certain folder. I'll show you where. Technically you could like copy paste the right image path, but I'm too lazy to do that. So We'll just set our name as trees to be because that's what we named our original object. Click OK. There we go, spits out this. Amazing, so that's exactly what we want. So now we're going to export our model again. The reason we're exporting again is because this way, since we consolidate all the textures in a single image, we need the model has to tell itself once again what to map the mesh to what texture and what it's supposed to be. So then we need a new object. Anyways, I'm gonna name this trees to be again. And the default place it exports this to is in username, app data, roaming, blah blah blah, then .blender. So just keep that in mind so you know where to find this. I'm gonna click on export, and these things are all fine. Just click export. All right, and then I can go to Roblox Studio and go to import, and I'm gonna navigate. See, I bookmarked this folder because it's hard to find, so I'd recommend you do that. Anyways, we can just double click on choose the object, uncheck this, check this. Actually, I think Blender turns into a single mesh, so it doesn't really matter, but anyways, there we go. Beautiful, except once again, you'll note there's transparency isn't looking correct, so if we set that to that, I'm going to change this material to pebble, and there we go. Beautiful trees. Amazing. And that is it. You should be able to port any prop from a given map just using these tools. I hope that this tutorial is informative, and let me know if you guys need me to explain anything else or if I missed anything.